The Royals went from the second worst team in the league in 2023 with just 56 wins to a playoff team in 2024. That 56 win mark is the lowest win total ever from a team that made the playoffs the very next season. They won 86 games this year, a 30-game improvement. A large portion of that historic improvement lies on the shoulders of Bobby Witt Jr., who put up an equally historic season. He quite literally had one of the best seasons that we've ever seen. Not just recently, not just since the turn of the century, one of the best seasons in Major League Baseball history. Without a lot of context, you would think this kind of season warrants an MVP award. A young, exciting, bright star leading his team to the playoffs while putting up some of the best numbers we've ever seen in a single season? This assumption would be wrong though. In fact, Bobby Witt Jr. will not receive a single first place vote for the AL MVP when the time comes. Because even for how historic Witt's 2024 season was, somebody recorded an even more historic season. Someone may have just had the best offensive season that Major League Baseball has ever seen. And because of that, this season by Witt may get drowned out and lost amongst the other superstars in baseball today. But when you dive into the numbers, this season may just be the best season ever to not win MVP. By the way, only 3% of you watching this video are subscribed, so if you enjoy the video, consider subscribing. It's completely free, and you can always unsubscribe at any time. First, we need to get a good idea of what Bobby Witt Jr. did in 2024. He recorded 211 hits, which led all of Major League Baseball. He hit 32 home runs while stealing 31 bases. He struck out just 15% of the time while walking 8% of the time. He hit .332 with a .389 on-base percentage, a .588 slugging percentage, which is good for a .977 OPS and a .171 OPS plus. How many other 24-year-olds in the entire 152 years of Major League Baseball do you think put up a season of at least 200 hits, 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases, and an OPS plus of at least 150? If you guessed 0, you would be correct. A season like this has only happened 4 other times, and nobody as young as Witt has ever accomplished it. Larry Walker, Hank Aaron, Ronald Acuna Jr., and Vladimir Guerrero, 3 Hall of Famers and 1 future Hall of Famer, are the only other players to ever do it. That is some pretty good company for a 24-year-old in his 3rd season. Clearly, Witt was one of the best offensive players in the league this year, which alone already makes him a very valuable player. Do you remember the 2021 AL MVP race? The one between Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Shohei Ohtani. Vlad put up a WRC plus of 166, which was the highest in the American League and 16 points above the eventual winner, Shohei Ohtani. To compete with Ohtani's great 2021 season, of course, Vladdy had to have been one of the best offensive players in the league, and he definitely was. He led the league in home runs, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, OPS, and WRC+. Of course, Vladdy is a weak defender playing one of the least valuable defensive positions in the league. This means that his offense was good enough alone to be runner-up to Shohei Ohtani. Now, you might be thinking, why are you going off on this random tangent about a season 3 years ago? Well, because Bobby Witt Jr. was a better hitter in 2024 than Vladdy was in 2021. Yes, believe it or not, Witt put up a 168 WRC plus compared to Vlad's 166. This means that Witt was 2% more productive at the plate when you compare each season to the league average player. This is an impressive feat alone, as Vlad's 2021 season was one of the best offensive seasons we've seen in the last decade. But he's a weak defensive first baseman. Bobby Witt Jr. is one of the best defensive shortstops in the major leagues right now. When you add that onto his elite offensive season, you can start to see how historic this season truly was. In 2024, he recorded 15 outs above average, which is the 3rd highest amongst all shortstops. His defense was worth 12 runs according to Baseball Savant's fielding run value. This means that his defense was just as valuable as a hitter who produced 12 runs on offense. It's very rare to see someone to have both the skills to put up an offensive season like Witt did and be an elite defender at a premier position. In contrast, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was worth -3 runs according to fielding run value in his near MVP season. That is more of the typical defense you'd get out of a slugger that puts up a WRC plus north of 160. The 12 fielding run value that Witt was worth was the 20th highest season from a shortstop ever recorded since StatCast began tracking this data in 2016. Andrelton Simmons averaged 12 fielding run value from the years 2016 to 2021, which is more towards the end of his career, but his defense never really fell off. Essentially, Witt was just as valuable defensively as one of the best defensive shortstops of this generation. So he has the offense of 2021 Vladdy and the defense of Andrelton Simmons. What's next? Base running, that's what's next. Base running is often overlooked, but it can make a big difference in a game, especially if you have players as good as Witt. In 2024, he put up 4.5 base running runs above average, which is the 15th best in the league. Witt is able to produce runs in every aspect of the game. According to run value, he was worth 59 runs while batting in the 99th percentile. He was worth 5 runs with his base running, which is also in the 99th percentile. Defensively, he was worth 12, which was in the 95th percentile. Witt's unique skill set allows him to perform well in all aspects of the game. He's one of the closest players to be a true 5-tool player that we've seen in a while. In fact, let's take a look at his tools to see for ourselves. The short answer is Witt ranks high in every single one. His hit tool, or how good he is at making contact, is great. He's in the 89th percentile when it comes to strikeout rate with a rate of just 15%. That's in the same range as Yandy Diaz, who's one of the best contact hitters in the league. The power tool is even better. He has an average exit velocity of 92.7 miles per hour, which is in the 94th percentile, right up there with Yordan Alvarez and Rafael Devers. Defensively, we already talked about how great he was with an outs above average of 15. That's in the 98th percentile along with Dansby Swanson and Francisco Lindor. His arm is the weakest tool, which falls in the 78th percentile. His run tool is his best tool, in the 100th percentile at 30.5 feet per second. This makes him the fastest player in the league, faster than Elly De La Cruz. He has Yandy Diaz's hit tool, Yordan Alvarez's power, Dansby Swanson's defense, and Elly De La Cruz's speed. This is unfair. This is a true 5-tool player. And this skill set has allowed him to put up an offensive season better than 2021 Vlad, a defensive season as good as Andrelton Simmons, and he also just so happens to be one of the best base runners in the league. If only we had a number to represent how valuable a player was in a given season. Oh wait, we do. WAR, wins above replacement. According to F4, Bobby Witt Jr. was worth 10.4 wins in 2024. He contributed 10.4 more wins to the Royals than a replacement level player would have. 10 wins. That's a lot. Take those 10 wins off of the Royals and they're now not in the playoffs, they're under 500, and nobody is talking about them right now at all. To put this number in perspective, Shohei Ohtani hit 54 home runs, stole 59 bases, had a WRC plus of 181, and walked over 11% of the time. Much of the baseball world has been talking about how amazing this season is, which is understandable. It's the first season that we've ever seen of this kind. Despite all of this, Ohtani was worth 9.1 F-WAR in 2024, 1.3 wins lower than Bobby Witt Jr. So Witt was statistically more valuable this year, and if he was in the National League, there's a very good chance that he takes home the MVP. Let's look at a more historical point of view now. If we look amongst all position player seasons since integration, 1947, this season from Witt is the 17th most valuable according to F-WAR. Some of the player seasons above him on the list may have had too many balanced breakfasts to qualify, so if you want to take that into account, then that number can get even lower. If you want to get a more modern scope, looking at seasons since 1980, there have only been 7 other players to record a season with 10 F-WAR or higher. Alex Rodriguez, Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Ricky Henderson, Barry Bonds, Aaron Judge, and Cal Ripken Jr. Witt's season finishes as the 8th most valuable season since 1980. Once again, there's a guy on here that might not qualify, but I'll leave that up to your interpretation. If we take a look at this list, we finally find our answer, why Bobby Witt Jr. will not be taking home the award. That, of course, is the number 4 entry on this list, 2024 Aaron Judge. To paint the picture for you, here are the top 50 position player seasons by WAR since 1980 in graph form. We have a pretty even spread here. Now, here are all these seasons in order by WAR. A lot of these guys won the MVP award, so let's separate them into 2 groups. Green dots represent seasons where the player won the MVP award, and red dots represent the seasons that were not awarded the MVP. The highest red dot belongs to none other than Bobby Witt Jr.'s 2024 season, the highest WAR from a non-MVP season in almost 50 years. There were only 7 seasons that were more valuable than Witt's since 1980, and it just so happened that one of them occurred in the same exact year in the same exact league to take the MVP away from him. This, of course, is Judge's 2024 season, and it's represented by this dot right here. The probability of this is very low. There have been a ton of great players in the past 45 years, and 2 of the best seasons we've ever seen just happened right in front of our eyes in 2024, which is fortunate for people like me and you, the fans, but a little unfortunate for Witt, who will not get the MVP award. Yes, his season was elite, yes, it was unique, yes, it was historic, but there are levels to this, and Aaron Judge is just on another level. Offensively, you have to go back to 1957 with Ted Williams to find a better season than what Judge did in 2024, excluding Barry Bonds. There have only been 3 non-steroid seasons to put up a higher WRC plus than Judge in 2024, which was 218. Babe Ruth's 1920 season, Ruth's 1923 season, and Ted Williams' 1957 season. This is some serious company, and company that hasn't been around for nearly 70 years. In 2024, Judge had the highest walk rate in the league. He had the highest on-base percentage in the league by 40 points. He had the highest slugging percentage in the league by nearly 60 points. His WRC plus of 218 is 37 points higher than second-place Shohei Ohtani, who himself had an amazing year. If you take Brandon Nimmo's 2024 WRC plus and add it to Luis Arraez's 2024 WRC plus, 2 above-average hitters, you get a total that's lower than Aaron Judge. You can see that this guy is just on another level. What makes this even more impressive is that Judge got off to one of the worst starts to a season of his career. In the first month of the season, Judge was sitting at a WRC plus of 93, which is below average. He was even getting booed by his own fans for this slow start. This is, however, a perfect lesson in sample size and why a 27-game sample just isn't enough to draw valid conclusions from. Because for the next 130 games of the season, Judge was one of the best players to ever step in the batter's box in Major League Baseball. This historic offensive production allowed him to accrue 11.2 F4 throughout the 2024 season, which is the 6th best season since integration in 1947. Bobby Witt Jr.'s was the 17th best. This leads me to one clear takeaway that I have from making this video, and that is that MVP awards don't really matter as much as we think they do. The way we evaluate Major League Baseball players often has a glaring flaw. Too much emphasis is placed on awards when assessing a player's career or Hall of Fame candidacy. Take Bobby Witt Jr. for example. Despite an outstanding season, his status as MVP runner-up doesn't carry the weight it should. Aaron Judge will deservedly take home the MVP this year, but it feels almost criminal for Witt's stellar performance to go largely unrecognized. Bobby Witt Jr. isn't alone in this. One of the most consistently underrated players in the league is Jose Ramirez. Year in and year out, he ranks among the game's elite, yet he doesn't receive the same level of acclaim as other stars. The reason? He's never won an MVP. He's came close, finishing second once, third twice, and fourth once, but he's never claimed the top honor, and that seems to diminish how people view his greatness. On the other hand, Ronald Acuna Jr. won the MVP in 2023 with a fantastic season, and most fans would place him above Ramirez in the hierarchy of great players. But if we look beyond the awards, I'd argue Ramirez belongs on the same level, if not higher. When you think of the 2024 MLB season, you think of the years that Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge had. Of course, the 2 MVPs, and they're doing things that we've never seen. Witt, though, was more valuable this year than Ohtani according to both F-WAR and B-WAR. There's been a lot of talk about Ohtani's season this year, which is completely understandable, but Bobby Witt Jr. may have even been better. Don't get me wrong, I still love the idea of these awards, I just think we need to view them in a different way. Not all MVP seasons are created equally, and sometimes an MVP runner-up season from one year is much more valuable than an MVP winner from another year, just as is the case of Bobby Witt Jr. and the best non-MVP season ever. So while Bobby Witt Jr. may not be taking home the MVP this season, his 2024 campaign will go down as one of the best seasons ever, MVP or not. The level of dominance he displayed across every aspect of the game, offense, hitting, base running, defense, really anything you can do on a baseball field, is something that we rarely see, and it's safe to say that he cemented himself as one of the brightest young stars in baseball. Aaron Judge had an all-time season. It was so good, it's almost impossible to top, but Bobby Witt Jr.'s performance cannot be understated, and hopefully it will not be forgotten. Who knows, the Royals may go on to win the World Series in a few weeks on the back of Bobby Witt Jr. But for now, all we can do is appreciate the season that he's put up, regardless of what awards he takes home. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.